Hello, and welcome back to the show. Before we get started, make sure you like, share, and leave a comment at the end of the video. And if you like the show and want more, make sure you check out our Patreon, where you can access content like behind-the-scenes vlogs, previews for up-and-coming projects, gaming sessions, and exclusive bonus episodes. Also, make sure you check out our Etsy shop for merch. We have plenty of shirts, mugs, and even stickers. And lastly, if you want to follow us elsewhere, look for @RyanPotsFunny on all other platforms. Now on with the show. Hello, and welcome back to Reydar, the podcast where the goal is simple, to become best friends by the end of the show. Today, I have a great comedian and comrade on the internet, Rob Schultz.
Thanks for having me. Internet comrade.
Hell yeah. How are you doing? How's your day going?
I'm doing good. I'm chilling.
Well, so we have the box of friendship, and that's where we get our questions for the episode. But before we get into that, do you want to shout out your podcast? I'm
going to shout out my podcast, the Young Old Podcast, where I'm old. Right. It's me and my fiance who are both millennials, and then her younger sister who's Gen Z. Hilarity ensues. But yeah.
Yeah, as it does. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling like the edge of that because I'm 95, so I'm literally that transitional generation between millennial and Gen Z.
I'm 94, so I'm straight up millennial.
Yeah.
I wish I could claim Gen Z, but I think I'm
I think
past.
It's like if you were old enough to see Lion King live, like in theaters.
Yeah,
that's millennial. I was born the year that it came out, so.
Yeah, and I think I remember if you waited in line to get a Harry Potter book, I think you're millennial for sure. I
think the books are overrated. I like the movies. I don't get the books. The books are so
You're a movies over books person?
We're gonna piss off a lot of people, but like fuck those books, all right?
Yeah.
Fuck J.K. Rowling.
And fuck and just fuck her for the literature work.
Yeah.
I don't even forget what's going on with her as a lady.
We'll get into that later.
What about the work
books?
product?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The Asian character's name is Chang.
Yeah.
Terrible writing. It's all awful. It's all like, and I didn't think about this till someone pointed out to me that their spells are just Latin words.
Yeah.
Like Leviosa is just lift in Latin.
And Malfoy, the name Malfoy means like bad fate.
Yeah,
it's boring.
You don't even need to use. It's so pretentious that they use Latin. You could just do magic.
Yeah. Also eventually, and this might be a movie thing. Hey, sort of embarrass myself. I haven't read the Harry Potter books in a long time.
I never read.
But in the movies, it comes a point where they just stop using spells. They stop saying spells, and everyone is a gun spell.
Yeah.
They just silently are just like mowing people down. Like they spend 3 movies learning all these specific spells, and then from books 4 on, it's just like it's a gun.
That makes Hermione's line in the first movie even more pretentious.
Yeah.
It's Leviosa, not Levio. It doesn't matter. Lift. That's the word.
Also, it's like it's gonna be a gun in 3 years.
Yeah.
Relax, relax.
It's crazy, and they have so many spells for just kaboom. Like
it's all kaboom.
It's all kaboom.
Again, I'm like in the first, like you said, in Leviosa, they spend so much time learning to levitate a feather. Somehow in the final battle, that spell didn't really seem to come in handy.
Why didn't it? Why weren't people just yanking it, like yeeting people everywhere? It was just blast against blast.
It's just blast against blast. It's like, hey, this is the bullet. They learned the bullet spell off screen, and that was all they needed.
One kid from America, and that war's over like today.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't even need all the blasts. I think they just wanted different colors.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
It was confusing. It was aggravating. The only thing that's ever been more annoying is finding out that Cyclops' heat vision is not heat vision.
It's a portal to another dimension.
Oh, I knew that part, but the fact that there's no heat, it's concussive blast.
I think so. Here's the thing, and I say this as someone who's read all the Harry Potter books, seen all the movies, read A Song of Ice and Fire, watched the show. I've done a lot of nerd shit, but I am like, nerds ruin everything. Yeah. Because I was cool with Cyclops when it was lasers coming out of his eyes. That's all I needed. And then people swoop in and they're like, actually it's a concussive blast from another dimension.
Yeah.
And it's like, how about we all pick up a football then? You know what I mean? If I wanted to, like at this point, let's just go outside.
It gets crazy too. Do you know he has a half-brother who's an alien?
I thought his half-brother was Havoc.
No, Havoc is his younger brother, now older brother for no reason. There's a third brother. I forget his name. It was during the It was during what's known as like the X-Stream era of comic books. He had knives on his elbows. He looked like a figure skater from Sweden, and his power was to combust blood. I forget. It's like hydrokinesis or some shit.
But he can do it with just blood?
Just blood. He can light blood on fire. That was the whole power with his mind. Not even like it doesn't come out of him. He lights other people's blood on fire.
Is that even a use? Like, does Professor X even have use for that? He's like, all right, we got to go save a busload of kids that's in trouble. And then he raises his hands like, hey, any chance any of these kids needs to be killed in the most gruesome way possibly imagined?
Any kid need to be purified? That sounds like a racist superpower now that I think about it.
It burns their blood?
Targeting specific blood?
We find out it only works on like 3 races. And he's like... They're like, hey, do that to Magneto. He's like, I can't. It doesn't work on white guys. They're like, what? Excuse me?
And then someone's like, he's German.
Okay. I will say, when you're explaining this about Cyclops' half-brother, sometimes it is just like, again, the nerds go too far. It's like, did you know that Iceman, they say he's like an Omega level mutant. They say Iceman is super powerful.
So the original comics ranked everybody differently because of like how powerful they'd become. And you know, in that vein, I do get a little nerdy about it because I do know about the levels. And it's the idea of being Omega is so arbitrary.
Because everyone becomes Omega, it seems
the difference between Omega and Alpha, like the less you can hide your power and the less destructive it is, determines your rank. Yeah. So like the difference between someone being Omega and someone being Alpha could be that one of them is blue and can't turn that off. Yeah. And that's it.
And that seems very arbitrary.
So it's that he can control. I believe what makes you Omega is if you can control the force of the universe. So he can control create ice out of nothing.
I mean, everyone knows that. Yeah, you know, we all know that. I'm just like, to me, when you get there, I'm like, no, stop. I hear that and I'm like, I think nerds are committed sometimes to proving jocks right about them.
That's why I love...
It's so, once we get into these weeds of like, well, he may be Omega, except for he can't stop himself from turning blue. I'm like, it was cooler when he could do ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I like Gambit, because Emma's like, fuck these rankings. He got surgery just to be like a normal average, like, asshole.
Can he still do the card? He can still concuss the cards?
Technically, he controls all kinetic energy.
That's true. But that's also what I like about him. He uses the cards because he's just aura farming. He's fancy, which I love that.
And he's just about the vibes. He purposely toned himself down so that he could just flick cards and use a staff.
Yeah, and I love that because he's like, it's cooler.
It is cool.
And I think a lot of dare I say nerd culture would benefit from having a Gambit attitude, which is just like, who cares if we could push it here? Let's put a cap on it. Let's keep it cool.
Have you heard of the shitty powers? There's so many funny shitty powers. There's a kid with translucent skin. That's all he does.
That's all he does. You can just see
his skin is invisible, so you can see his muscle structure. You can see his muscle? Not even his whole body, just his skin.
I remember in the X-Men Evolution cartoon. Did you ever watch that? X-Men Evolution cartoon?
Yeah.
I like that cartoon.
I liked Frog, and I liked Wolverine. I didn't like anything else. Well, I also liked Rogue, but who didn't?
Yes, it did do Rogue well, but there's that one guy who I think is like a main... He can just grow a bone. He can like grow bones out of his forearms.
Yeah, he was referenced in the second movie. That dude that like... It's not exactly the same character, but they reference his powers. Yeah. Like he can grow spikes and shit.
What was his name?
Spike. That was his human name. And his...
I should have named him Growbone.
Right?
Should have named him Growbone. That's also... It's
he technically has Logan's power. That's the thing is like, what X-Men did was they made their stuff so specific that copying it looks ridiculous. Like, no one else can have Wolverine's claws, even if they're bone. Because it's there. I saw there was a show called No Ordinary Family where someone was given claws, but they came out of his middle knuckles instead of his center.
So that's a totally different thing. So that it
would look like a lion's paw, but he looks like an idiot going like this, like...
Wildly different thing. This is also another thing I found about nerds where I don't know if you're familiar... I assume you're familiar with this, but there's actually a lot of the intense comic book nerds are somewhat resentful of Wolverine's popularity. Like, a lot of the hardcore X-Men fans are upset that people think of Wolverine as the main X-Men.
He is, though.
He is, though.
He has an X on it, and he had an X before he was an X-Men.
And he's the coolest one.
He does the Claw X. Who else can do that?
He cuts things in an X. He's the cool guy.
Branding.
Yeah. And people are like, in many ways, Bishop is more essential to the X. Like, no.
Sucks, Walt.
Who's Bishop?
He's from the future.
He's a time travel from the future.
I don't even know who that is.
I can't remember.
This guy doesn't even know who Bishop is. Time traveling from the future?
He was in
But wouldn't that make him less of a central character?
He can siphon energy into... I forget exactly how his power works, but he has a gun that he fuses energy into it.
I gotta see him.
Well, it seems... Yeah. I think his power in theory is meant to be like he can like absorb energy and then redistribute it. But it's one of those things where it's like on paper that's cool, but then I think in all the stuff it is just like he puts it into a gun.
And I think...
All superpowers end in gun.
I think they also... If I'm remembering now, they rewrote his character to be a villain in First Class or some shit.
Oh, maybe that's why I don't know it.
First Class was awful.
First Class was pretty bad, but the problem is, here's the thing. First Class was bad, except for the scenes where Magneto is killing Nazis, and then it's the coolest movie anyone's ever seen.
Cool. I would have just watched a movie about
well,
that
it was supposed
Magneto.
to be because they were going to do X-Men Origins, but then no one liked X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah, because Wolverine was all over the fucking place.
And that movie's bad. And then so they scrapped their plan for Magneto Nazi Hunter, and they just worked it into First Class, and I'm like... Just do that.
Magneto Nazi Hunter would have been cool.
It was cool. It was the coolest scene.
There was going to be Wolverine, then Gambit, then Magneto, and I forget who else. There was like 4 planned for the beginning, but they fucked up Deadpool, and they had like 6 different groups controlling the CGI on the claws. None of them looked the same. There was one where he's in a bathroom just doing this. And it looks like a Nintendo game.
It looks pretty bad. It looks like a PS2 cutscene.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you look at like the original Bryan Singer, you know, since disgraced director Bryan Singer, but like his X-Men, the effects look good. The claws look good.
That's my thing. And it's a thing. It's a hill that I choose to die on about the quality of effects when you blend special effects with practical.
Yeah.
They always hold better together because practical doesn't always look realistic enough like in practice, but it is the best like standing reference to put stuff over.
I also think in that era, because CG was new, there was a pressure to make it look good. Whereas now it's like, oh, we'll just CG it. And then it's like they don't take the time. What's the way Davy Jones looks real now? And that movie came out in like 2006.
Right.
Even recent, like, I mean, I know that it was, almost 2 decades ago, but you look at the first Iron Man, you compare him like coming out of the suit to him just opening the mask in Civil War, and there's such a difference in effect.
Well, yeah, like the suit felt real and tactile, and now they have those, everything's nanotech, and I'm like, that's worse though.
It's worse.
Did you ever see Big, the Tom Hanks movie?
No, not in a minute. Yes. I mean, I saw it when I was a kid, but not in a minute.
I love that movie.
See, this is where I now move. You see, he doesn't know Bishop, but he knows Big. Well, there's that scene. There's a scene in Big. Obviously, it's about a kid who becomes an adult overnight. He wishes to be big, and he becomes an adult. But he gets a job at a toy company. Pretty good because he's got a child's mind, but an adult body. And someone gives this big presentation on like a new toy they're launching, and he talks about in the presentation how all their market research indicates that this would sell X better with this blah blah blah. And anyway, Tom Hanks says, Big goes, okay, but why is that cool though? And there's this pause, and that's what he brings to the table. He'll just be like, well, but why is that cool?
Yeah.
And I think of that question, I think about that all the time, where it's like, well, it's a nanotech now, so his helmet just comes on and off easily. It's like, okay, but why is that cool? Why is it cooler that his helmet just appears or disappears? It was cooler when it felt like a thing he built.
Yeah.
In a cave with a box of straps. And again, I'm not a nerd.
And that's
I don't know nothing about any of it.
Okay, because I could talk about this. We'll save this. We'll come back to this on the Patreon because we got to get into these questions.
Yeah.
Because I'll talk about Marvel all day.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and I just want to talk about sports, you know what I mean? I just want to talk about sports and like...
you were the one that brought up comics and cartoons.
What? No way, dude. No, I came in here, I'm like, I want to know how Kirk Cousins is going to play backing up Michael Penix Jr. in the Atlanta Falcons. That's all I want to talk about. And suddenly I'm talking about nerd stuff?
To me, sports stuff is nerd stuff.
That's the real take.
Yeah. It's like stats. It's all stats.
Well, it's like you're just like, you have an Excel spreadsheet pulled up.
Yeah. I always say that to like people who are like super into sports. I'm like, I'm not smart enough to get sports. And they're like, it's not a smart guy thing. And then they like list all these, like, they know where these people went to college and know all their trophies.
You know who like Chad Pennington is? You know where Chad Pennington went to college? It's like, that's nerdier than knowing who Bishop is.
Yeah, I don't know either of those people.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it because I gotta explain. We've introduced the friendometer. This is new.
Can I give one note real quick before we do something? Because I had something to tag in, but you were on it, so I didn't want to break. You guys are talking. One of the characters you were talking about him being able to explode people's blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The CIA declassified 200 projects from MK Ultra, and one of them was exploding blood cells. They were trying to figure out how to make people's blood cells explode.
Well,
that's
he
a real
doesn't
thing.
like explode. He lights them on fire.
Well, you were saying like, what could even be the use of that?
Yeah.
And I was like, CIA thought it might.
If you're an
be
enemy,
useful.
you could be.
Yeah, but
You could
CIA also.
execute enemies of the state.
Here's the thing, and I don't, it's the CIA, so you gotta be careful. But like, also, they're a little dumb.
I think we'll be okay.
They tried to. They literally invented realistic exploding cigars, like Acme
Yeah.
level.
I just want to
pops.
say, I don't think the CIA are dumb. I love the CIA. I am an ally to the CIA.
You guys are fine.
Anything I can do to assist the deep state, I will.
But there's too many things that sound like Acme products. I'm just creative, constructive criticism.
Well,
right?
it seems like a lot of what I hear about the CIA, it seems like they were just kind of pre-Vietnam, post-World War II. It seems like they were kind of bored. Like they were sitting around the office because all these projects are like, well, LSD. What if blood could explode? It seems like they were kind of just having meetings where they threw a bunch of
like,
stuff
hey
at
boss,
the
hey boss, we just came up with C4. It's the most conductive, most explosive material we've ever invented. He's like, can you put it in a cigar?
wall. You put it in a cigar, though?
We're working on C5.
We're working on C5.
I feel like that is. I do agree with you that I think that CIA and like NASA, a lot of like the projects they give themselves are like job security.
Yeah.
Where they're like, we have to do this thing that's basically impossible.
Yeah.
We need unlimited funding for it.
Oh, you can't
Exactly.
defund us. We're so close to C5.
Yeah, we're so close to C5.
Really, C4 seems to blow up everything we want it to. It's like, oh yeah, but you're not even gonna want it when we
Man,
get C5.
we got GTA 6 before we got C5.
No, opposite. We got C5 before we got GTA 6.
Okay, so let me explain the color coding. All right, the gauges. We have blue for icebreaker, which we'll still ask question, but we pretty much, and then we'll move on later when we feel more comfortable into the yellow. Yellow is slow and steady, and then some people said mellow yellow, but that's P. And then green is we're in a good standing. We're good. Green means go. Green is good friendship. And then if we really can get into it by the end, we'll go all the way into pink. I haven't thought of a creative name for pink, so it's just pink.
Right before we started filming, I was fiddling with it, and I accidentally broke the friendometer a little, and that felt like a bad omen.
No,
To destroy the friendometer.
I will say, making it fucked up my hands a little bit. I got bruises and cuts all over the place, but it was fun.
You know what? My fiance was doing crafts and she was using Gorilla Glue, and then I tried to move the poster board, and then I put my thumb in Gorilla Glue, and there's just a casing of Gorilla Glue filament on my thumb.
So I feel like people are unsatisfied with super glue, and that's where they go to Gorilla Glue because super glue has gotten slightly weaker.
Yeah.
Because it has to be able to come off skin because people kept fucking gluing themselves together.
But Gorilla Glue is like, no, it's part of me now.
Yeah, I can't believe some lady used it as hairspray. Her scalp
that, yeah.
had to be removed. It's crazy. So we're starting into the blue.
Her scalp had to be removed.
I mean, not like,
Well, yeah.
She like slicked her hair all back, right?
With
They
Gorilla
had to,
Glue?
like,
Yeah, it
chip
was like
away-
solid. She had like solid hair.
Yeah.
It looked crazy. It looked
Dude.
insane.
Well, it seems like Gorilla Glue was like the glue industry's answer to like kids eating glue. They're like, you think, oh yeah,
Eat this.
oh yeah, eat this. You think you're so tough in preschool eating our product? Yeah,
Make it stronger.
yeah.
Okay.
So sorry.
No. It's all vibes.
You
That's the
gotta.
whole.
We haven't even broken the ice.
We haven't even broken the ice.
Can we break
broke
this
it a little
ice
bit.
already?
With concussive blast, not heat vision. Fucking annoying.
Yeah. We haven't even broken the ice with a portal from another dimension that releases concussive blasts. Like, I don't even
Explain all
like
the fire.
nerd stuff.
I will say, like, the movies are the only media in which it's fire. Like, that shit combusts around it. Everywhere else, it is just... That does explain how he uses it as, like, a parachute.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is another interesting question. I feel like this is in a similar vein of how we've been talking. Where would you hide during a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, we've discussed this often. Well, it depends on where I am when the zombie apocalypse happens. Also, it depends on the rules. So, have you ever seen Train to Busan?
I have not,
It
but I do
rips.
understand the zombie rules.
Well, in Train to Busan, it's basically like the name of the game is if they can't see you or perceive you, they're not coming after you. So it's not like they can get your scent or like whatever. So in that scenario, I would just like quickly and quietly like cover up all the windows, cover up all the doors, and basically go hermit mode for a couple weeks. If I'm out and about, the name of the game for me is get onto a roof out of sight, wait for nightfall, and then get out into nature. Because then once you're in nature, you're not in a population center. So I guess in my house, cover up all the windows, bar the doors, or if I'm not in my house, get out into the middle of nowhere.
The only hole in that is what if it's biological? Like what if it's a virus? You got zombie bears.
So is it airborne?
Yeah.
Well,
like what if
I'm
it's
assuming that I'm not getting whatever is coming up. Because if
Well,
it's
let's
airborne,
see.
I will simply become a zombie.
Let's see if we can go in order. So we mentioned Busan. What would you do? Like Walking Dead styles. It's a virus. It is airborne.
But
It doesn't activate unless you die or get bit.
Well, in that scenario, I must like if I'm, for example, here, I know it's happening. I would say we would bar the doors. We would move the couch up against the windows, and we would just wait. And we would just try not to be perceived, and we would try to wait it out a day or two.
Real Shaun of the Dead vibes.
Yeah, survive the initial event. But in Walking Dead, he kind of didn't even need to because he was just in the hospital. But I would say like to survive the initial event, close everything up, and then once that wave passes, that's when you get out and you try to make it into nature. I think the end game is be in nature.
Be in nature.
Because then any zombies you come across would be a 1v1 situation.
True.
The problem in a population center is like they're grouped together.
Well, that's why I find the shows more interesting than the movies, because the shows, obviously they have to span over years, so you see like what if they start hurting and like not socializing but collectively acting as a unit, because that's what happens in kind of both iterations. I don't know if you've ever seen what is it, Nation Z? Z Nation.
I've not seen Z Nation. Oh,
it was a sci-fi one that came out around the same time as Walking Dead, but it was a different vibe.
I watched Walking Dead until they made
comedic.
it to the farm, and then I was bored and I left. That was only like season 2.
Yeah.
And then I tried to come back in when they were in the prison, and the vibes got too bad.
Once they find the like suburbia, I'm like, I'm tired of them starting over. It's boring.
Well, also, really, I'm sorry, but once they get into, the real scary thing are the other survivors. I'm like, I'm uninterested.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want the scary thing to be the zombies.
That's the whole thing.
But also, did you ever see All of Us Are Dead?
No.
It's on Netflix. You should watch it. It's so cool.
Oh, wait, is that the one at the school?
Yeah.
I couldn't. I did. Well, not I couldn't. I liked it. I didn't finish it.
I see. I dig that one, and those are. I tend to think the best zombie stuff is not made in America. Sorry. And again, I'm not a nerd. God, I just want to talk about the NFL free agency, but unfortunately, you asked me about zombies. But I mean, when it's like those type of fast zombies, but even then, it's like you just cover up all the windows, and if they can't perceive you, they can't see you. So I think my strategy would remain consistent.
Okay, so then what if we go with... I would say what if we go with Shaun of the Dead? Because it's not necessarily... what do you call it? Talked about or like... like they go into it, but the zombies do learn.
They learn and they can kind of sense you.
Yeah, they learn how to like. It's not necessarily that they're working in a group, but collectively they seem to figure stuff out. Like one of them learns to turn off music, one of them learns to turn a lock and open a door.
Yeah. So if it's like they can somehow perceive us in here and they're coming for us.
Old style zombies where like they do have some level of like consciousness. It seems like.
Well, I wouldn't want to. I don't know where this would fall in the friendometer. I would probably immediately betray both of you. So I would kick you in the kneecap. I'd kick you in both kneecaps. I'd let the zombies feast on your flesh, and I'd kind of sacrifice both of you, so that I could survive. I don't know how that plays in the room, but I do think I would kind of just turn on my fellow survivors as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that was like my first thought. You were like, "Oh, well, barricade us in here," and I was like.
Out the window.
Us? Yeah. Barricade us? This is not your studio.
There's no food in here.
Yeah.
True.
And you're also like, you're a guest, sir. You will be returning to your vehicle. Yeah.
I was always thinking of like my mentality is always like, if there's two options, you either choose to prepare for it or you choose to know where to go in the case of the emergency. Like some people will prep and like build a bunker and like prep with food in reality. But like if you don't have that, if you're stranded wherever you are when it starts and people are just like going down, you got to find a place quick. A lot of people say grocery stores. I think that's the first thing everyone's going to
yeah, I think everyone would go there. I also think the problem with grocery stores is there's too many entrances and exits.
Depending on the situation with like city planning, my first thought is schools. Because a lot of them have like, especially in like the areas I grew up there, like the barred.
They're fenced in.
Fenced
That's
in.
true. Well, I grew up in the
And
Midwest, and they don't have any
There's
fenced in
like
schools.
lock protocols, like they have the heavy duty doors that just you turn the fucking Allen key and it's locked forever.
My true instinct would be, I would say, my instinct is to get up whenever possible. So my instinct actually would be hotel high rise, and I would try to get up as high, assuming that my real instinct is barricade, get on roofs if I'm in a public place, hide on roof until nightfall, get to nature. But if we're talking about where I would hunker down in the long run, I would try to be as high up as possible, and I would think hotel, because each room in a hotel kind of functions as its own zone. There's only one entrance, one exit. I hear school, I hear hospital, I hear grocery store. It's like there's like 12 entrances. Like,
Yeah.
like
Hotel's a good choice. That's a good choice
Well,
because
my
every
thing-
room has water and food, has like snacks in their fridges.
Yes.
So my
As long
thing
as you
about
can get
that,
into those locked doors.
The thing would be like you would have to get there, but then like if survive initial wave, and also you'd have to get there and clear a room. But then again, like once you clear a room, each room only has one way in or out. There is some food, there is some water, and if you run out, it's like there's a bunch of other rooms around you could go into.
My head hurts.
there's a tea for that.
I'm also sick.
There's a tea for that.
And I can't sleep.
Aw. Well, there's a tea for that.
Where are you finding all these teas?
Legacy Teas and Spices, of course.
What if I just want black tea?
They have that.
What if I get tired of regular tea?
Well, you're in luck. Legacy has a wide array of blended teas and flavors, including favorites like Peach Lavender Rose, Passion Fruit Hibiscus, and the all-time bestseller, Vanilla Lemongrass. Here, see for yourself.
Wow, I can't wait to try it.
Make sure to go to legacyteasandspices.com and use coupon code RYAN20 for 20% off. I mean, yeah, I think ultimately it's like you got to decide whether or not you'd be individual or in a group. I think hotels might work for an individual, unless you get surrounded, then there's no way out. That's why I like schools, is like they have gate entrances that you can lock up unless you need them.
Any situation I get into, that's the thing. That's the thing about zombies to me. Like I don't understand the long-term fear of zombies. Like initial outbreak is the scariest part.
It's the initial.
Yeah.
Can you survive the initial?
Right.
Everything's going nuts.
If I go past 3 days, I've already found food probably.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start making booby traps. Like
You're gonna Home Alone it.
Yeah, I'm gonna Home Alone these zombies for sure.
What kind of booby traps would you make?
I don't know,
I have
stuff with
so many
spikes
ideas. I know there's this. Not okay. I don't want to say that I have
Traps.
ideas because we were in public, but there's so many fun facts I know about like home appliances and stuff like that. Like sugar, vinegar, and a third component are flammable, and you can make a combustible
Right.
solvent out of
I'm trying to
Cheeto
understand
dust.
why you have so much disdain for the CIA.
Yeah,
I
I don't
imagine you're on
know.
a watch list or two. You're up here
Dorito powder?
listing out the ingredients of a
I'm
bomb.
gonna bleep that.
Yeah.
I know.
Dorito powder is highly combustible.
This guy.
Is it really?
100%.
That's
Whoa.
insane.
It lights up 3 times faster than like regular Kindle.
Whoa! And I'm over here just lighting up regular Kindle.
You can use it. You can use it to like start bonfires and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Dude, what are we doing recording a podcast? Let's just bring a gun to City Hall. Let's cut out the middleman. Where's that on the friendometer? It's like pink is
It's on the
you.
back.
Pink is you form a militia and you march on City Hall. And I'm gonna get there.
It's the yellow
Dorito
tread
powder.
on me. Don't tread on me flag. No, we'll cut all that out.
That sounds like something. That sounds like the Dorito powder. It sounds the Dorito powder is actually bomb fuel. That sounds like something RFK Jr.
It has
would
something
say.
to do with like
They're putting
the
bomb fuel in our Doritos.
the waxy resin and how it's coated because it's not the chips aren't like dipped in. They're sprayed with the powder, so the aerosol has a component to it that is combustible.
we shouldn't read.
What?
This isn't what our podcast is about.
This was on Nat. I found out on Nat Geo. All right, so it's public information, sirs.
Geopolitics.
Yeah.
It was a part of a game where they were trying to see which chip would light the fastest, and it turned out to be Doritos, and they explained why.
And I found out about this in one of the meetings that Ryan dragged me to
Yeah,
and told me I wasn't allowed to tell anybody.
It was a mind games watch party. All right.
I also like how when before this podcast, you're like, oh, it's just kind of a podcast about like becoming friends, and I'm on the spectrum, so it's kind of about that. And the podcast starts, and you're like, here's how you build a combustible bomb,
I didn't
and
say
teach
any of
the
that.
CIA
I'm
to
just
stay in their
saying
place.
Doritos are good kindling.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
But the reason I remembered that fact is because the movie, what's it called, with Denzel Washington, where he's like,
Deja vu.
no, the other one where he saves people from a store. Equalizer 2.
Oh,
He sets up a trap like that using a cooking flour.
that's awesome.
A dude throws a flashbang and it ignites the flour. It's pretty cool.
That's just pretty awesome. I haven't seen the Equalizer movies. I'm embarrassed
They're
of
right.
myself.
They're like if John Wick was slightly older and
Yeah.
alone.
Nice.
Well, because John Wick has a dog.
No, I
Yeah.
I know.
I like
And
John
Rose
Wick.
got
Also,
dogs.
I like John Wick best in John Wick. I like the John Wick movies.
I like it.
But I like John Wick best when it's like, oh, someone killed his dog, so he's going to kill everybody else. I do think it got a little bit in the weeds. This is what I mean about everything's getting nerdified. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
I went to see John Wick 4, and it's like, the high table has made a new ornament. That means you must engage in a duel. I'm like, whoa.
This is
Just kill
about
his
a
dog. Like, I think he should keep getting a new pet, and they keep killing the pet, and he keeps killing everybody.
That's the thing too, is
That
they
would be
try to have
hilarious.
that element of like reminding you how it all started. In the third movie, Halle Berry has 2 dogs.
Yes.
And then in the fourth movie, the guy that initially tries to kill him also has a dog that he saves.
Yeah, but I'm like, I liked when it starts on a very small, relatable thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we all have a pet that we would be upset if it was killed, or we could at least imagine it. And the later ones, it's like, I'm not part of a shadow assassin group.
Right.
Until you recruited me into one about 2 minutes ago.
That's why I like that movie Falling Down.
What's Falling Down?
Oh, it's with Michael Douglas.
I like how we've been talking about like obscure X-Men characters for the whole time, and then you say, "Hey guys, have you seen Falling Down?" And we're like, "We don't know what that is."
It's a good
That's
movie. It's a
niche.
really good movie, but it's like a shoot 'em up basically.
Yeah.
It's got like a little political message in it, but
Who's in it?
Michael
Michael
Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
Kirk Douglas's son.
I forget that he's
Gordon
Kirk
Gekko.
Douglas.
But he's stuck in
Yeah.
traffic in the beginning of the movie, and he just gets pissed, and then he just leaves his car,
And goes on.
and then just goes on a rampage.
I've seen like posters for this. I didn't
The
connect
movie's
it.
great, dude. The movie's
TikToks and
great.
whatnot. The
There's like
guy-
a scene where he goes in
he
to
just
get
wants
food at
breakfast.
like a McDonald's thing. And
Yeah.
he's like, this burger doesn't look anything like the burger in the menu. And
That's so funny.
To me,
I've
that's
seen
like the
that.
ultimate
that.
like red pill, red guy movie.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the,
Kinda
except
is.
for at the end when he's like, "Oh, I'm the bad guy." Like that's what we've been saying.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's one of the best action movies ever, and in many ways, all the action is terrible. It's like it is Taken.
Baby
Taken
Genius?
Huh?
Oh no,
No,
I said Baby Genius.
maybe I saw that in theaters actually. Taking me back.
I think I did too, actually.
Whoa, we've all saw Baby Geniuses in theaters.
That would be a fun like millennial podcast is talking about Taken. It's called Taking It Back.
Taking it back. Well, Taken rips, and that's the thing that it's.
There's
like,
a lot of movies that are for like 80s dudes who are now getting older. Like, what if you could still kick ass? Like, have you seen Nobody?
Yeah, I don't like Nobody.
I don't like nobody either.
Well, it's Bob Odenkirk. It's kind of. I mean, he does a good job.
Also,
it's weird though.
to me, Nobody was one where it was too irreverent for me. I think that's
Yeah.
I like it where it starts in a very grounded, earnest, emotional thing that then gets crazy.
Yeah.
And to me, Nobody, it was crazy from the jump. It was crazy the whole time.
Well, yeah, like hijinks have to ensue. You can't pursue the hijinks. They have to come naturally.
Whereas, like in Taken, the first 10 minutes of Taken is just about look at this sad old dad. Look at how sad his life is.
His ex-wife hates him.
His ex-wife hates him. He shows up again. It's like a comedy of like obviously it is just like a divorced dad propaganda, but he shows up like at his daughter's birthday party with a present, and everyone's mad at him. They're like, "What? Okay, fine, you idiot!" And then like you brought your daughter a present on her birthday. What are you, an idiot? And then he's like, "Oh, if she ever gets taken, you're gonna be so respectful to me." And then she gets taken, and they have to be respectful for him.
Because he has a certain set of skills.
He has a certain set of skills.
What if he had a different set of skills? That'd be so funny.
He's a chef.
He's a theater nerd.
He's a theater nerd. He's like, I can name the original cast of Hamilton.
I know who Bishop is.
Yeah, I know exactly who Bishop is.
You see-
I know about the X-Men who makes blood explode into fire.
How am I suddenly the middle-aged guy?
Who?
No. Okay.
You're
It's time to
middle-aged?
go up a notch.
Uh-oh.
All right, we're going in to take it slow and easy.
Let's cool down.
Mellow yellow, as it were.
There we go.
I told you it would work.
We gotta get like a little like hook system for it or something.
We do. Just add some pegs. It's hard because it's made of plywood. What is something you pretend to like but secretly hate?
Woo.
That's a good one.
Oh, man.
What's
That's a
something-
really good one. Here's the thing. I know my answers immediately, but I pretend to like them, so I don't want to expose myself here.
What's a safe space? We'll not tell
No.
anyone.
Well, here's what I'll say about this. I will say that particularly in Los Angeles, there's a lot of performing of taste when it comes to certain, I'm going to say like TV shows and musical artists.
Oh, I get what you're getting
I
at.
would say there's a performing of taste where
So, what's a show you think is overrated?
I would never say it in a million years. I would never say a particular show is overrated.
What if you whisper it?
Oh, okay. Here's what I'll say. This is a show I have not seen. I have not seen because it didn't really call to me. The Bear. A lot of people do like The Bear for real, but I was talking to someone who was an assistant on a, very cool, industry favorite show that wasn't The Bear, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm 5 episodes into the second season of The Bear, and I don't really know how I feel about it." I'm like, you don't like it. If you don't know, 5 episodes into the second season, you don't like it. And again, The Bear is liked by a great many people genuinely.
Right,
People
right.
like The Bear. I'm not saying they don't. I have not seen it. Maybe I would like it. But I am saying that is one where I'm like, I know some of you are pretending, and you don't have to. Enough people really like it that you don't have to fake it.
Yeah, I'm honest with people about it. It's like I can get why people like it. I don't think it's a bad show. It stresses me the fuck out. I couldn't get past episode 3.
Yeah.
It was too much.
Well, that's why I didn't watch it. It didn't particularly call to me because I have really dumb basic taste.
And I feel like because a lot of people with a lot of shows will say if you can make it to episode 4, you're in. And I'm like, yeah, but that's just persistence. Like that's my ADHD. If I watch 4 episodes of anything, I'll stick to it.
Well, then
I
you're already
watched
in.
all of the Arrowverse. I fucking hated it.
You know what I just started watching? Just started. And this is, again, my taste is trash or whatever. So, but I just started watching Smallville. I never saw it when I was growing up.
I watched it when I was a kid, but I was like, this isn't Superman. Why is he a teenager? What's
be
with all
honest with
this angst? Bullshit.
You see, I never watched it when I was a
I
kid
said
because
in
the same
kindergarten.
thing. I was like, that's stupid. That's lame. But I started watching it, I think it's genuinely good. I think
it
it's
has-
legitimately a good show.
was very
Looking back,
popular.
I think it was just like I was, first I was a kid, so don't get on my ass about it. But
What if you're
also,
like a
I was a
Superman
nerdy
nerd?
kid. I know what Superman is. He's not
Yeah.
a fucking nerd wearing denim all the time.
So when they introduce Metamorpho, and it's just
That's
played by
cool.
Chad Michael Murray, and you're like, that is not Metamorpho. But I just pulled that out of my arse. No, it's good for real. I'm watching it now, and I'm like, it's like melding of like superhero Superman lore with like the OC style storytelling.
Yeah,
and I do like it,
CW vibes, original CW vibes,
which are good.
I don't hate the CW vibes. I think they do get repetitive after a while.
Here's the thing: I'm 5 episodes in, and there's like 14 seasons of it, so I'm sure I'll fall off. But it's really fun and good, and it's so colorful. You realize so many shows now are very desaturated, and they're very kind
they
of
go
like
back and forth.
They want it to be very grounded. I feel like now, and to me, I'm like, my TV taste is I want the saturation amped. I want everyone to be hot.
Yeah, I think that's why people find like newer stuff so like people loved the look of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, because they're using primary colors again.
They're using primary colors. They're using like bright blue and bright green.
Yeah.
And then it's like they act like it's like they've stumbled across some weird thing. It's like, no, everyone's just kind of talking like they're on a sitcom. Everyone looks hot, and it's very colorful.
I will say, like, recent CW, I can't... And that's knowing that I just said that I've watched all of the universe. Because you watch anything on CW, and there's always a scene in every episode where someone's like, hey, can I talk to you alone for a second? And they pull away from the group, and I'm like, you need to be a team player. You need to think of the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Like if I wasn't the one that needed to do that last episode. It's always the guy in the last episode that's giving advice to the guy in the next
In
episode.
this episode.
It's terrible.
Well, I remember Vampire Diaries, like one episode would end with one character attempting to murder another character, and the next episode would start, those characters are on they're best
fine.
friends. And here's the thing, I like that. I've realized that like I want that from my TV. I prefer that. I want it to be bubblegum. I want it to be rinse and repeat.
Episodic.
I want it to be kind of episodic. Is that too much to ask?
No,
I mean,
that's episodic.
I like episodic if it's completely separated, like the original seasons of Adventure Time. We're gonna get into cartoons now. I love cartoons. I'm a huge cartoon nerd. When I was a kid, I would say up until like when I turned maybe 25, I knew as much knowledge as possible about any given animation, current and old. Now it's like I'm older. A lot of the voice actors are my age, so it's more like I know everything from my childhood now.
Yeah.
You know? But I've always been super into it, and Adventure Time was one thing that I always thought was interesting. I do like the story that they went with, but it was a lot more fun when it was just like, what's going to happen today?
We've run right into one of my blind spots. I've never seen Adventure Time.
It's all right.
I missed that. I missed that era. I never got into like the cartoons I like the Bruce Timm, Batman, Superman. I like the Pinky and the Brain.
So
And
like 90s, you know.
I like 90s WB. Like I like the
Yeah.
Animaniacs, and then I completely I wasn't allowed
The
to watch
Spielberg
TV.
era.
I like the Spielberg era.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. And then I was never SpongeBob. I was like Ed, and Eddie, any of that stuff I never saw.
That was my
Interesting.
jam. I mean, I love WB, but I do think that Cartoon Network's era, like late 90s, early 2000s, was kind of, you know, it was for that 95 to like 98 kids growing up.
I liked Codename Kids Next Door. That was one I liked. I remember the show Recess.
I do remember the show Recess.
Yeah.
I not only that, I know a lot of those voice actors in like live action roles that they do, and it's like fun seeing them. And it's like, oh, that's Spinelli.
I know that the guy who voiced Jon Stewart in the Justice League cartoon. Whenever he pops up live action, I'm like, I know you. I've seen
Yeah,
him.
he was from. My favorite fun fact about him is that he was handpicked by Tarantino to be in Pulp Fiction.
I know. He's the guy. That's the one I'm like, that's you.
And it's funny because what happened was his name was Phil Lamar, and he was friends with the casting agent of that movie, and she was about to be like, I know a guy you would like, and he goes, first you need to find this guy, and it was
Yeah.
the same dude.
Same dude. Well, my favorite example of that is Michael Rosenbaum voices the Flash in the Justice League show,
Right.
and he plays Lex Luthor in Smallville. And there's an episode in the Justice League cartoon where Lex Luthor and the Flash switch bodies, so now he's voicing he's voicing the Flash in Lex Luthor's body in the cartoon when he played Lex Luthor in Smallville. And I don't care about nerd shit. You hear what I'm saying? I want to go to the homecoming dance and I want to have a cheerleader on my arm, and that's what I give a shit about. I want to watch Sports Center. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't care about any of this nerd stuff.
I do. I love it. It's
But
great.
and I'm humoring you by talking about Michael Rosenbaum.
What's
His
her
relationship
name?
with Lex Luthor.
Pam something. She played Louis C.K.'s love interest in Louis.
Pamela Adlon.
Pamela Adlon. She was Spinelli in Recess. She's also
Really?
Bobby from King of the Hill.
I've never saw King of the Hill.
You've never seen King of the Hill?
I wasn't allowed to watch TV when I was a kid. So all the shows I watched, I had to seek out, and I watched all of them. So it's like, I've either seen every episode, or I have no
So
understanding whatsoever.
So we'll build a bridge here. We'll start with what you know, and we'll see if I know it. What like, let's say early 2000s now, moving away from the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, 2003 to 2006. What were you watching?
Well, not much, because I wasn't allowed to watch TV.
Right.
But I would say the shows from that era that I did watch was Justice League Unlimited that era?
I do believe like later on. Yeah.
Justice League Unlimited, and then by the time I was able to kind of check back in with cartoons, I was already onto The Simpsons and Family Guy. And then I never really got into South Park even.
I definitely was in that era of WB, like weird, wacky, zany shit, like Johnny Test, Mucha Lucha. That's my ringtone.
Mucha Lucha?
Yeah. It's
See,
the way of life.
I had no Mucha Lucha.
That's a reference. We'll play it somewhere.
I left Pinky in the Brain. And then I didn't touch back down into Cartoon World until I was like watching Family Guy.
By that time, I think it was Pinky Brain, and there was a third person. It was a little girl that adopted them.
They added a little girl.
Yeah,
Elvira.
played by by fuck, I don't want to get her name wrong because I know it, but I don't remember. Cecily something.
You have to get this right, Ryan.
I have
People are going
to
to be so mad.
I'm
Everything's
gonna be
riding
so
on
mad.
this.
I know her name.
What if
It's
I make, like,
Celine
one of
something.
those,
I know it
like-
starts with a C.
What if I make one of those 4-hour video essays about how Pinky and the Brain went woke when they added the little girl? I'm like one of those go woke, go broke people, but specifically only about Pinky and the Brain and when they added a little girl.
Because like if you'll recognize her name if you Google her, it's something. She played Susie Carmichael in Rugrats.
I'm looking it up right
She was
now.
number 5 in Kids Next Door.
Oh,
She was Mrs. I forget Foxy Brown
Cree Summer.
in Cree Summer. I knew I had to see.
Cree Summerheads.
All the Cree
Sound
Summerheads
off.
out there.
Who
All you Cree Summerheads.
she just got a live action role on Abbott Elementary.
That's fun.
So she's one of the teachers now, which I think is great. She's one of my favorite voice actors of all time.
Nice.
She's cool.
Can I ask a question? Why weren't you allowed to watch TV?
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't even like I grew up Puritan or anything. I think my parents were just very much in the TV will rot your brain vibe. They were like,
Yeah.
you should be reading books. You
So it was
shouldn't be
like,
watching
was
TV."
it like 0 or was it like severely limited?
There was no television.
Oh, okay.
Like we had like a VHS player. and
I just
stuff.
No
couldn't watch
TV?
like Fox After 7.
no TV. You could yeah.
You had a VCR and no TV?
We had a VCR, no TV.
What'd you do with it?
Yeah, what'd you do with the VCR?
Oh no, we had like TV, but it wasn't connected. They
You
no
had like no
channels were on
cable,
it.
no box.
Okay.
No cable, but also no network. So
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
watch NBC.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
You can
but
even
you could watch a
plug
tape.
into public
I could watch a
access.
tape.
Okay,
I could
okay.
watch like a movie or something.
What movies did you have?
They had a lot of like old movies. They had a lot of like John Wayne westerns.
Okay, cool.
specifically.
I feel like that.
And then they had a lot of like they had like Amadeus. You know
Nice.
what I mean?
Amadeus is
They
good.
had-
I like that
Oh,
movie.
Amadeus. Sorry.
And what else did they have? They had like old people taste in movies.
My mom had vintage tapes, but they were like old sitcom shows. Like she was super into I Love Lucy. She had a lot of I Love Lucy tapes.
We had a lot of I Love Lucy. I had a lot of I Love
Lenny
Lucy.
So classic television stuff.
Like old stuff.
Shirley Temple?
No, Shirley Temple.
No, Shirley Temple.
I
Okay,
was
so not
super
super
into
old.
But they had like Bonanza.
Oh,
Like I
interesting.
saw like
Bonanza.
while you were watching Mucha Lucha or whatever, I was watching Bonanza.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. Not
And
a lot
I-
of people know about Bonanza.
That's me on second grade. I'm coming home from my first day of like elementary school. I'm like, hey mom, so not a lot of people know about Bonanza. Turns out that's not really a cool thing to bring up.
Did you
I
guys
only
catch
know about Bonanza because of the movie UHF.
Which one's that?
It is a
Weird Al.
Weird Al Yankovic film where he inherits a UHF station. It's like a FM, like a public station.
And then there's Bonanza references in that one.
Yeah,
Classic
one
Weird
of
Al.
the what's his name? Something Richard something from. He played Cosmo on Seinfeld. He's in it, but this is before all the bad stuff happened.
Bonanza.
Yeah.
This is before Seinfeld, actually, when he was just doing a comedy.
It was before all the good stuff happened too. It was before all the stuff happened.
His old stuff was like funny. You could see why he got hired in the first place. But yeah, his favorite show is Bonanza. So when he gets kidnapped and he annoys them into almost letting him go by just
Talking
doing
about Bonanza?
just doing the theme song over and over.
Do you know what Hee Haw is?
The
I mean,
Hee Haw scene?
Hee Haw is a show that was like a
Yeah.
old timey country music
Yeah.
like variety show.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
where like Johnny Cash's wife as a child would like
A
sing
lot of
Christian
celebrities,
songs.
a
Yeah.
lot of like country celebrities were on it.
Is that where Kanye? What's his name? Kanye.
Is that where Kanye West?
No.
Kanye West started out there.
That-
It was Kanye Western.
Conway
Twitty.
Twitty.
Conway Twitty, yeah. And now Conway Twitty.
Let's
Yeah.
either want to. That's like the only song I remember because of Family Guy.
Well, check this out. Check this out. What about Kanye Twitty?
That's so funny.
someone-
Get on it, internet.
Because he's always on Twitter.
Yes,
Tweety, Kanye Tweety.
dude. If I could do characters, man.
He's singing "I See the Want to" in your eyes, but he's just like trolling people.
Yeah. If I could do,
I know you want to engage. I think this is going good.
I think so
I
too.
think we're ready to go.
We're gonna
to
move up.
Green means go. Stay. Okay, good.
Go stay.
The cards are actually teal, but I'm not changing it. It was hard to find all the felt in the same colors. It was going to be like sparkly, like satin felt.
But that
Yeah,
was
when
too-
I agreed to this podcast because you said it was going to be sparkly like satin felt, and now I'm
I couldn't
pretty
find.
let down.
I found pink and I found blue. I couldn't find yellow or green. What sound instantly stresses you out? Why would you do it if it stresses you out?
I run toward it. I'm watching a lot of entrepreneur TikToks. I'm like, you got to run toward the stress.
Like Batman vibes? You run towards the thing you're afraid of?
Yeah, more like Gary V vibes. You got to run. How about this? Gary V as Batman. You know?
Who's Gary V?
You know Gary V?
You don't know Gary V, the wine salesman?
He's like the guy who's like his whole thing. Gary V's whole thing is that just like he's a motivator. He's always telling people to like, you got to post on social media. No. It's not too late. Mm-hmm. If you're 55 and you don't have a Snapchat, you're leaving money on the table. It's like
is that the Lamborghini guy?
No, not him.
No,
but he's
Ty
in
Lopez.
that same
Similar vibe.
genre. He's a little bit more. Look, dare I say Gary V? I like him.
Yeah.
He
I
won me
don't
over.
hate Gary V. It's a little bit of like that toxic positivity sometimes.
It's a little toxic positivity, but also, you know what? It's like.
But
some
I think
people need
Ty
it.
Lopez is worse. The Lamborghini garage.
On the
book guy.
spectrum, I think Ty Lopez is a little bit more on like the scammer side of the spectrum. I don't know anything specific that he's
It's a different
done,
spectrum.
but it just feels that's not the spectrum you're on. I don't think so.
I'm on the friendship
You're on the friendship spectrum. So we're talking about friendships. This isn't the scam spectrum.
That's so funny.
But
Well,
Gary, yeah,
Ty Lopez is a social media guy.
Yeah.
And he's posing as a like you can be rich.
Yeah.
But really his thing is like knowing like how to get a video viral.
Gary V is a social media guy whose whole thing is you can be rich by making your videos go viral on social media.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's there.
There is some overlap. I know people who've like worked under Ty Lopez.
Yeah.
And they like all have. They're pretty successful on social
Yeah.
media, so like they're learning. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But he's not like giving that knowledge away. He's being like, you too can possess this knowledge.
Well, there
kind of
is
a
that
guy.
whole thing of like these guys who are rich and they're like, you can take my course to learn how to get rich. But
Yeah.
then how did they get rich? By getting
Selling
people
the
to take their course. Yeah. So it's
and
kind
the
of
course
circular.
is telling you that you can start a course
to tell other people
Yeah.
to do their course.
which
they
isn't
tell
that
three
pyramid
friends?
scheme. It's not a pyramid scheme at that point.
yeah, I think that would qualify as a pyramid scheme. Are pyramid schemes illegal?
Yeah.
How did we get on this?
I gotta
We
make a
were-
call.
The camera cuts.
I'm like, you gotta cut the cameras.
I have to go.
Well, I always used to say this about LA comedy. I used to say that whatever. But the LA comedy scene would be a pyramid scheme if any money was changing hands ever. It's like a
Yeah,
pyramid
for
scheme,
sure.
but no one's making any money.
God, for real.
We're all just recruiting other people to do our bar shows, and they're recruiting people to do their bar shows, and then no one's making any money.
You do a bar show? No, I'm just kidding.
Wait,
What's
so
the booking email?
so what does it have to do? Going back to the prompt, do you have a sound that stresses you out? Do you have any like triggering sounds? I have a couple. Like to just introduce one of mine, just to jump on.
Yes.
To get the ball rolling. When I was a kid, memorized what my mom's engine sounded like, and that would stress me out.
That's funny.
Like when she's pulling into the driveway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, she's home.
If I was at a friend's house, I could tell when she got there, and I was like, oh,
That's
this
so funny.
lady. I love you.
Oh, this lady's so annoying. I love you more than anything. Don't ever leave me. Oh, it sucks.
I was a kid. Everyone
no,
was.
That's
I
true
know.
love, though. That's
I mean,
real
that
love.
is. It's just like, oh man, I love my mom. She's so great. She calls me one time. I'm like, oh, fuck.
My mom likes to, and I'm not teasing or anything, but it's just so I have an Instagram, and it's meant to be like my comedy Instagram.
Yeah.
So the only reason I use it is to post clips, post projects, and interact with people I'm trying to engage with professionally.
Yes.
So once in a while I get stressed out because I'll open my Instagram and it's like, you have 12 DM messages,
And it's all your mom.
and it's all my mom, but she's sending me like inspirational quotes.
Kind things.
You know, she's being uplifting, but I'm like, that's great.
She's like, I love you, Pookie Bear.
Yeah, but it's like when you're like expecting a letter and you're just
Yeah.
like seeing coupons from KFC. Like,
well,
great.
I've blocked multiple members of my family.
Same.
I don't block my mom, but I have blocked people.
I block people. I think my mom. Here's the thing. I don't think my mom understands social media enough to. My thing is like I don't want to notice you. So if I have like an aunt or an uncle who follows me, I'm like sure. But if they start sending me messages being like "good work," I'm like I'm gonna block you immediately.
Dude, I had not even
Oh, then that moved it. That moved it organically.
vibes. We'll work
Dude.
on the high five.
Okay, the high five
so
wasn't
funny.
great, so we got to go back.
Yeah, we gotta go. It's the rule.
It's so funny. I agree with that. I have like very few family that follows me. I have one cousin and they would never say anything.
Yeah.
I don't tell my family about my stand up.
Yeah.
Because I don't want I live with a grandma, an old grandma.
Yeah.
I don't want her thinking that I'm at like bars all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and being worried about me.
Oh, you're the comic with you got the I hate my grandma, she's the worst chunk. You got a whole chunk about how you hate your grandma.
It's not about hating her. It's actually
I'm joking. Yeah.
No, but I do
That's so
jokes.
funny 'cause
oh,
he
yeah,
fucking
no, I do
does.
jokes like that.
I was like, oh yeah, you're that comic who jokes about hating their
You're
grandma. And
the
you're like, hey, calm down. Hey, whoa.
So yeah, because of that, I don't like tell them or tell my family, but I have one cousin who like follows and I can see that she like looks and likes it stuff. My great grandmother passed away recently, and like all my family came, and immediately she like started showing my family like my stand up clips and stuff, and I was like, don't do that.
At my old job, when I worked like an office job, my boss didn't know I did stand up, and this other lady gets hired, and she knew I did stand up. And she told my boss.
Dude, I hate.
And
I'm like, it's not your place to tell people.
And then she would do it like it was like funny, like we were. She'd be like, oh wow, you're gonna do that, and I'm like, I'm gonna bring Dorito dust to the office.
yeah, dude,
I have
for real, not even a joke.
This is like I literally like I didn't even like the job fine, but also it's like at that office job I went by Earl. It's my real first name, Earl. But I've gone by Robert my whole life. But at the office job, just to kind of fully sever myself, I just would just say whatever, Earl. And I would sit in my cubicle. And then, but once my boss found out I did stand up, he would start meetings by being like, "All right, we're gonna start the meeting unless hey Earl, does Robert have any jokes he'd like to tell us?"
See, dude,
and I'm bringing Doritos.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I have to go get my Doritos. I forgot my Doritos.
I forgot my Doritos.
That's crazy. And what do you say? Sugar? Doritos and sugar, dude? I'm about to fill this office with Doritos and sugar.
But of course, that was years ago. And,
right.
And I'm not upset about it anymore.
Earl Robert Schultz.
The fourth.
Nice.
How about that?
That's a solid
but it's a Missouri Earl. Like sometimes people like hear Earl and they think it's like fancy.
It's like pronounced with an A, like Earl.
Well, yeah, it's more like Earl.
It's
not Earl.
URL.
Yeah.
Like you don't really close your mouth at the end. It's like Earl.
It's more of like a grunt, but also I think people associate it. It's like with like it's on a generational wealth, Earl. You know, it's a Midwest.
It's a generational.
I'm a man of the people. You know what I mean? I'm just a man of the people.
I'm trying to think of a rhyme. Generational. Nope, nothing rhymes with wealth.
Say that again.
Generational.
Stealth. That's the one that's like that.
Stealth is pretty good.
Generational.
Health.
I don't know, something. I was thinking Dukes of Hazzard for some reason. Are they in Missouri? No, I think they're somewhere else.
No, they're in the. I think they're in the even more south
Tennessee
because they were Southern culture because they had the Confederate flag, right?
Yeah.
On the car.
Is it Kentucky?
They're definitely below the Mason-Dixie line.
They would have to be, yeah.
No, but dude, I think that like doing stand up is like a lifestyle choice, and like when someone tells other people that you do it, I'm like, dude, not your place.
What are you doing? I will say one of my coworkers at that job, he followed me on Twitter, and back when I was on Twitter, and he would like quote my tweets back to me as if like if I tweeted about like I don't know going to Panera or whatever my hilarious viral tweet was, he would when I walked into the office the next day he would go, "Hey, do you have any Panera today?"
Oh my god!
I blocked him,
dude. Yeah,
and
dude,
then and I blocked him immediately. That is it. If just like every time I like felt that like any of that feeling, I'm just like blocked immediately.
Yeah,
no matter what.
I hate that. Because
then once you do it a few times, then it's like people tend to knock it off because like they don't want to get blocked.
It's like the same thing for me. Like I smoke weed, and like when people are like, "Oh, are you high right now?" Or they like try and make stuff like that, or like smells good.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm never gonna talk to you.
I'm never gonna speak to you again. I'm gonna nod and smile. You will never be hearing from me again. But you smoke weed. That's cool.
I do smoke weed. Yeah, man.
Do you smoke
big
weed?
Smoke weed guy.
But I'm not an undercover cop.
Hell yeah.
Apparently they're putting in the works that you.
Hey, could you repeat that into my lapel?
They actually are putting in the works that you have to identify unless you're undercover. Like
That's a thing.
No. Like. Well, I think it's aimed at the recent events happening in LA. It's aimed towards ICE pretending to be police, but it's like in writing now. Like you have to.
You have to tell me if you're pretending to be police.
Exactly.
So it's like ICE will pretend to be police officers in order to like gain entry to places.
Allegedly.
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 Yeah.
Purely allegedly.
Well, the thing about pretending to be a police officer is that if you're pretending and I tell you to tell me you're still pretending, then how am I supposed to...
I don't know how it's going to work.
I also love it is funny just for ICE to be like,
I think it's
we're going to
more a
pretend to
thing
be
of, like,
cops.
it's a way-
Everyone loves cops. People in LA are mad at ICE. We will simply pretend to be something they'll never be mad at in LA. The police.
It's just like they just add POL to the ICE. The ICE.
They duct tape POL.
Keep it in Sharpie. I think it's meant to like make it easier to get people out that are unjustifiably detained.
Right now. Wait a minute! You just take the POL off their shirt and it's just the ICE left. Oh no!
I don't know why that
That's so
reminded me of
funny.
my favorite GIF or meme from UHF, where this guy walks in with like a report and he's like, "Take that ridiculous thing off," and he's wearing like a lavish cowboy hat with feathers coming out of it, and he just looks disappointed and then tears his mustache off
That's
and walks
funny.
away.
That's a good
I
bit.
bumped the mic. I'm sorry.
My most annoying sound, you ask?
A sound that stresses you out.
Oh, sound that stresses me out is someone being like, 4 more comics and then you. Listen to that sound.
That's so funny. Dude, one thing about me is my hack is I love to go first on shows, and I like ask to go first, and I literally don't think it feels like this is just jumping off that, but like it feels like a hack where I'm like, I think comics associate going first with like being like the lowest on the totem pole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cause like no one ever wants to go first. I love to go first.
I think it's more about the room being hot. Like
but the room is hotter for the first comedian than the last comedian.
Yeah.
for sure. But
Every time.
Going last is the worst.
I think unless
Going last is terrible.
Yeah.
I think unless the last person is being established as the headliner,
Right.
then it's usually just like it's
Right. No, I thought we were
whoever's
talking about
the vibe.
mics.
If I'm not specifically being asked to be the headliner, I usually I don't get asked often, but when they answer, I'm like, I don't mind being like in the middle, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think like
Third
3
is
through
good.
6 is like my.
People like that.
That's like the right area. That's like the.
But I would rather go 1 than 3.
Really?
Well, because it also removes any level of getting in your head about like, I guess I don't really. Honestly, I just like to get in, do my thing, and get out. But then sometimes you can like, if like someone right before you like crushes really hard, or if someone right before you bombs really hard, there's math that goes on in your head. And I think it just frees me from all that.
Right. Someone bombing before me is worse than someone like if someone does really well, then everyone's laughing and then everyone's good. You know, unless you suck.
Yeah.
If you're not solid, if you're not coming out swinging, then you're not going to keep that energy going.
Yeah.
But if you're solid, then yeah. If you could bite that bullet, that's the thing about that first spot is that like people are kind of like not ready to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had to go first at a show the other day, but the host just did everything that you're not supposed to do. Did Chinese accents, asked the room if everyone was Mexican. No one responded.
Yeah.
And then they made a bunch of. The room was all Mexican, by the way.
Yeah.
And then they made a bunch of jokes about how Salvadorians hate Mexicans, and because they were Salvadorian, and it was like a bunch of like anti-Mexican jokes.
Sorry, that reminds me. I have to remove my Chinese accent chunk from my act. People don't like it.
That reminds me of one bad show I did in Venice, where the guy before me, the dude who hired me, like never saw, and I don't remember why, but I remember asking him, was like, "Well, I'm surprised you reached out," because this was like 4 years in, and he's like, "I'm surprised you know about me. Like, have you seen my clips?" And he was like, "Yeah, totally," and he fucking did not, because the guy before me. A lot of my earlier jokes were just about me being autistic, and the guy before me was like, "I don't believe in autistic people. We're gonna have to cut this out. They're all fucking retards, and I just want to go back to calling them that." Like la la la, and I was like, "Jesus, this is the guy you have right before me."
Yeah.
And then I do all of my autism bits, and he's like, "I have no idea. I'm so sorry."
That's so funny.
But it's fine. That wasn't the only reason it was a bad show. I was also like to one guy who I think owned the place and just liked watching us talk. It was creepy.
Was it a show or was it some sort of this sounds more like a weird humiliation
It was like
ritual.
a put together show. Like they sold tickets. We didn't see any of that.
Of course not.
The bar did definitely have a weird vibe. It was like, I forget what it was called. It had like a Hawaiian themed name, but the aesthetic was like safari, like dude hunts rhinos vibes.
Fascinating.
And the food was like Outback Steakhouse. It was all
Well,
over the place. It was
I don't
like
want to
3
see a comedy
different
show here. I
vibes.
might want to take a swing through.
It was probably a good restaurant. I didn't get any food. They were closed for the comedy show.
That's wild. I did one show. It was at I think it was called like Palermo's. It was like an Italian restaurant, and the show was terrible. But
Palermo.
then they just gave us free Italian food,
Fire.
and this was like back. I literally had like no money at the time, and I was like, "This rocks." I was like, it was literally a meal. Like I bombed, sure, but then I was like, I got like a big platter of like garlic cheese bread. I was like, pretty good.
I bombed, but this cheese bread is bomb.
I was like, this cheese bread is bomb.
I did. I was at a show where this dude, he was doing it at his like parents' senior center, and it was during their rec time. The show was their rec time, and they were not for it. They wanted to go back to like knitting and falling asleep to TV. And instead, they had to listen to like a bunch of millennials and one really old dude just complain about their dating lives. It was awful.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty
I did
terrible.
maybe 8 minutes, and I was like, I think that's all I have today. And he's like, no, keep going. And I was like, I don't want to.
One thing I wish we could normalize is like if I get up and immediately like 15 seconds in, I know that I'm not going to do it. I should just be able to like leave.
Yeah,
I should leave.
Like I'll do time.
There's so many times where I get up and I can tell in the first 30 seconds of like no one's gonna like this. I'm not gonna like this.
I would say
it
it's
shouldn't be seen as a big drastic thing for me to just be like, all right, this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah. Especially like who's trying to go over. You know what I mean? Nobody's trying to have more time on if the show's going bad.
But honestly, that's another thing where I'm like, I don't want to go over if the show's doing well. Like if I'm crushing and I get the light, I'm like sick. I'm gonna leave right now. You know what I mean? Because I'm like,
Right.
then my set's good. I want to end.
Right.
The set's good. I want to close on. It's going good.
Yeah.
So if I'm bombing, like I would never go over.
I
Yeah.
never,
Get me
out of there.
I never understood that, dude. I went to Flappers the other day and watched a show there. It was the first time I ever been, and the headliner was supposed to do 25. They did 50.
That's
Yikes.
insane.
They did 50.
That's
Crazy.
insane.
And like just the host did another like 5 after, and like would not get out on a big laugh. Like got a big laugh and just kept going. And I'm like, dude, the show is over. Like it's done. I left.
Was that
Go to your
main
home.
room or Yoo-Hoo?
I'm not sure. It was the. It couldn't have been the main room. It couldn't have been the main room.
Yeah, the big room has like space. You'll see it, and it has like
Yeah.
props on the
The
side.
crazy thing was, I was at Flappers for the mic, and then I heard like a roar, and I'm like, you don't really hear that at Flappers. And I looked in the main room. Adam Devine, I think, was like running his hour for his Netflix special, and it was the only time I've ever seen Flappers packed with like young women who were having
Oh,
a
yeah.
great time, and it felt like I'm in an alternate reality, you know.
That's
And I'm like,
crazy.
what is going on?
That was my first time ever going
That's that
there, and
Pitch
it was
Perfect crowd.
Yeah.
insane. I didn't like it.
I remember early, I got the chance to host the, might have been like the 10 p.m. or midnight mic on Saturday. And I remember I was like, at the time, I was like, this is a great honor. This rocks.
I mean, I
No,
would
yeah.
and
say
then it pretty
probably.
quickly went to like, what am I doing? I remember there was one weekend where I did the Friday mic and the Saturday night mic, both of which end at like 1 a.m. And I
Yeah.
didn't get up at either of them. And I just remember walking in my car at 1 a.m. on Saturday being like, that's the whole weekend.
No,
And it's
yeah.
gone.
Even before I started going out there, I used to always hear stories about Flappers, and then I started going. And so that became like a funny inside joke for myself when people are like, I didn't really like him. I'm like, yeah, nobody does.
You know who loves it? Jay Leno.
Yeah. It's
Apparently.
like
He goes
Yeah.
up there all the time.
it's
He
for
must
sure
genuinely like it.
It's mall comedy. Like
Yeah.
that's his audience. You
Have
know what I
heard
mean?
about this? Have
Like
you seen this?
Well, it's crazy. 'Cause, like, if Jay Leno wanted to, he could obviously do like the improv every night if he wanted to. You know what I mean? He could go on tour and do theaters if he wanted to.
Right,
It's like
right.
he clearly
He
just
does
must
what he wants. He was a cartoon character. He was the
Right.
Crimson Chin
Interesting.
for like a decade.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that he was a Crimson Chin.
And he's got so much money. I mean, he clearly could do whatever he wants to be in Flappers. My mouth just touched the mic. I don't know what needs to happen now. But.
Nothing. It's fine. That's, yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I was in there. I was sitting at the bar, and there was like this couple, an older couple, and they had one of the employees of Flappers. Like, there's like a little fake stage or like a little mic on the by the bar.
Yeah.
And like they were like, "Can you take a picture of us?" And they like stood by the mic, and then the guy like took their picture, and he was like, "Say Flappers," and I was like, "I'm gonna kill myself tonight, drive into a wall." I'm gonna kill myself. Like this is the death of comedy.
Their pizzas are good though.
The
Their food-
$40
the food is
pizzas.
good. Yeah.
I almost
It's
pulled the
$40?
trigger on like some $35 spaghetti and meatballs.
That's crazy because like pre-pandemic, their pizzas used to be pretty normally priced.
Their stuff is insanely
I
priced
also,
right now.
yeah, I don't know how
$18
how it's
shot of
been
tequila?
since. I do remember like there was like a drink minimum. You had to spend like $10.
I was like,
or something
what?
to
Think
get
about a bottle
mic.
of tequila for this price.
Yeah. Flappers is one of the places I think after the pandemic, I just on principle, I've never gone back there.
I'm
I have to
good
like
on
trick
it.
myself into thinking I'm in a different place in my life. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can't go back there.
If I get a show there, maybe I'll go, but maybe.
Maybe.
And
I mean,
Yeah,
again,
it was awful.
there was someone who used to hit me up, and he was trying to get me. He had like 3 shows running, and he. A couple of times he like hit me up to be on it, and he always put me on the Flappers one. He
Yeah.
had like 3 other. He had a show at the Improv, and so like I didn't like ignore it, but I would be like, I can't
come
make it
on.
that night.
Well, some of the Flapper shows have been fun that I've done in my life.
Let's do it.
Well, we finally did it. We finally reached Pink. I gotta come up with a name for that one. I wanted to call it like something with the word intimate, but that's a little too close.
Pink and intimate.
Yeah.
It's a little too
Get your
close.
mind out
Well,
of the gutter.
because these are the
Get your
most
mind out of your
like
gutter.
I can't.
potentially deep questions.
Meet her.
What?
Come on.
Cut the camera.
What about the future worries you the most?
Well, first off, I'm going to treat this as like try to come up with a fun answer. So I'm not just going to say something like, like the rise of fascism or, tech billionaires taking over.
And
You
that's
know what
all
I
we're.
mean?
No, I'm just kidding.
That's all.
Dude, what worries me? Here's my thing. I think I'm pretty optimistic. What am I actually worried about in the future?
You're what is Dick?
Oh, you know what? I'm worried. And again, I'm removing like serious stuff like famine. I'm worried that like TV will just cease to exist in like 5 years. I'm worried that like TV, as in like 26
Flipping
episodes a
channels,
year,
yeah.
multiple seasons. I'm worried that it already kind of doesn't, but like
Yeah.
I'm worried that like in 5 years, like there just will be no new shows that
Yeah.
are like that scratch that specific itch. It'll kind of everything will just be like it's 3 episodes every 2 years.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now. Like,
Yeah.
But even now, there still is like Abbott Elementary, and there's like all those shows on CBS. Like SVU's still cranking them out. So like there is like TV that exists. I just worry like in 5 years, it's all
But-
going to be
I
Apple
feel
TV
I mean, we're
Plus.
already transitioning. I mean, because it started with like Netflix and Hulu,
Sure.
and then they were pulling so many people off of regular. Like it became it's so easy to binge shows after they're done, instead of just waiting a week.
But
at
this
a
is
time.
what irks me about that. It's like, what do people really like to binge? They like to binge like Gilmore Girls, Friends, Seinfeld. So like people
Office.
still like The Office. Like people still like watching those shows. They just like watching them all at once now. But it's like in order to get there, you have to
Yeah.
keep making those type of shows.
Yeah, I just feel like that was such a huge era of TV, like
Yeah.
that, like Parks and Rec, The Office, Community.
I think what'll die off.
2000s.
Even like Cheers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I think what's dying off is the concept of cable TV. I think all
that's
these
gone.
channels are just getting their own apps, or they're like
Cable's gone.
selling their permission to.
I guess I just like that. I like network.
Yeah.
That type of show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did too.
Even though I'm obviously not gonna watch week to week or whatever. It's like I want those types of shows to still be made so that I can watch them. I mean, I'm watching Smallville 20 years later.
Right. And right now, people are watching like reality TV is killing it. Like, their
Yeah.
Love Island is like all anyone's talking
can't get
about.
into
I can't either. It's not.
This season of
it's
Love
not
Island-
for us. You know.
I was watching
watched
Love
Love
is
Island.
Blind.
I like how you're like, Love Island's not for us guys. I'm like, I have watched Love Island. Well, I watched last season of Love Island. It was legit good. This season's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of this season.
It's hitting in the algorithm though.
It is in the alg, but that's misleading though, because there's some shows that hit in the alg. I think Love Island is watched, but there's a lot of shows that hit in the alg that actually aren't being watched and consumed. Like there's some shows that just like it's almost more fun for people to make content about than to watch. It's the way like the show Tracker with Justin Hartley is watched by more people than watch Love Island right now.
That's what his name was. Justin Hartley was the Green Arrow in Smallville.
He was. What didn't he also try to play? They tried to do an Aquaman spinoff.
That was the dude that played the current Jack Reacher. That was that guy.
Alan Ritchson, really?
That guy was
sworn they did Justin Hartley Aquaman.
No. He was Green Arrow. The other guy was. I think they should have switched it, but that's what it was. Yeah.
Interesting. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't talk about nerd shit.
I'm not in nerd shit, you know. I want to talk about the deep state and
Oh yeah.
what concerns me. I mean, that just feels so stupid for me to say, though. TV. Is there something more cool?
I'm concerned music is getting boring.
Well, here's my concern would be that people would stop doing things on real life. Like everything will just become like me and my screen, and I'll just sit in my room surrounded by my various screens. And real life will like no one will go and do real life stuff. But I gotta be honest, I'm not worried about that because like people like doing real life shit. You know what I mean? Even if people like screens, it's the way like people would have told you 10 years ago that no one would read books anymore, hard copy. It's all going to be about the Kindle and ordering stuff on Amazon. But then it's like now like Barnes and Noble's like doing better than ever. And it's like people like doing
Barnes and Noble's is like bad.
People like doing stuff in real life
Physical
for their
media,
own sake.
Physical media in general has like been coming back.
Physical media is coming back. It's like people love going to concerts. People love going to festivals. People love going to the mall and stuff. So it's like I'm not actually worried that like we'll just become a sit alone in your bedroom, look at your screen society. Because I'm like, I think people don't like doing that.
Yeah, I think that was like the fear coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
Like everyone was just paranoid about that.
Yeah, but also it's like everyone's like people. I remember coming out of COVID, people are just gonna want to keep watching their screens and playing on their phones like they did during COVID. Meanwhile, I remember people during COVID, they all wanted to kill themselves. Everyone was unhappy the whole time. So what are we talking
found
about?
out they were autistic. Everyone was building forts. It was a real fun time, except for all the death and shit. But
yeah, everyone during COVID was more stressed out than they'd ever been, and then yet companies and stuff seem to assume that we just want to ride that out forever. It's like no, people like want to go to restaurants and stuff.
Yeah. Want to have fun.
Yeah.
But did you do anything fun during COVID? Like, did you learn any new skills? I built a fort.
You built a fort?
I recommend anytime you're depressed, build a fort. You'll feel better.
What did I do during COVID? I just posted videos online.
I mean, it's obviously can't cure clinical depression, but it's if you're looking for something to do. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify. You said something just now?
I said I posted videos online. Oh. And that actually, if you do it right, can cure clinical depression. if you're hitting the that's how Gary Vee talks. If you're posting correctly, your clinical depression will be gone.
You're not depressed. You're just not posting enough.
That's Gary Vee. Gary Vee would say you're not depressed. You're not posting enough. And it's not true.
No.
But it's hey man, you got to do something.
But it'll distract you from how sad you are. What was the question again?
It was what are you worried about with the future?
Yes, that's right.
What are you worried most about the future? Not his hair.
I'm worried. Hey, oh come on! I didn't even know what I was high fiving until I told you that. I wouldn't have done that.
That's the lure of the high five.
If we're gonna do sports shit, I'm worried that Josh Allen is gonna get another sham MVP because the media is tired of Lamar Jackson being clearly the best quarterback and having the best play on the field. I'm gonna throw that in there.
What a nerd.
Yeah. That is nerd. As I said that, I'm like, that's as nerdy.
That's just as nerdy.
If I'm like, Josh Allen, he had a bad completion percentage against the Houston Texans, and yet they had voter fatigue with Lamar for his third MVP.
Might as well be talking about a D&D character.
Yeah, I'm like...
Have you played D&D?
No, dude.
It's a lot of fun.
Nah, dude.
No.
You'll love it.
Come on, dude.
Talking about X-Men for an hour,
bro.
and you're like,
no
bro. What the
freaking
fuck?
way.
If you were...
I gotta be honest, D&D doesn't call to me at all. I don't want D&D. Not at all.
I do think it's like a matter of perspective. I never push anyone who just doesn't want to do it, but I tell people like, I think that there's two ways to think about D&D, and that defines how you play it. And I think when people are trying to be like Dimension 20, then it's not as fun because they're trying too hard.
I've seen some Dimension 20 content. I'm like, I understand the appeal it has, but here's my thing. It's like because I've heard, I like that guy, Brennan Lee Mulligan. I like him, but he was talking about D&D as like, oh, you have to be a great storyteller, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I literally would rather someone like write a good book, write a good movie, create something like because I'm a big fantasy book reader. I just don't like D&D.
The only D&D that resonates with me is drinking and driving, right, boys?
Hey,
Yeah, for real.
That was a joke. Kind of. Where are we at here, dude? Scared for my future? No, I don't think about my future.
All I think about is the only excuse D&D, drinking and driving. Scared for my future?
I am.
Yeah.
I've shared this anecdote before, but Hulk Hogan used to talk about how when he was on the road for wrestling, there's a specific can of beer he liked because his hand was bigger than the can, so he could just drink and drive, and no cops would pull him over because they couldn't see that it was beer in his hand and not soda.
Nice.
Like a weird, like, French can.
Yeah, I was like, oh, man, it must have been
That's funny.
Just
smaller.
another
Like, you
reason?
know how they have those, like, small snack versions of, like, sodas? They shouldn't do that for, like, Modelo's.
Little snack Modelo.
Just drink 30 of them.
Oh, good. It's like a little tiny one. In case I'm not in the mood for a full Modelo, I'm just in the mood for 45 little tiny ones.
Have you tried those? Do you know what what is it called? Michelada is?
Yeah, I don't like them.
You don't like them?
I'm not a big fan of them. But I've also, like, as I've gotten older, I'm 85, but as I've gotten older, I, like, can't, my body, like, doesn't handle alcohol. Like, I can't drink beer anymore. I, like, literally get a massive headache.
Mm-hmm.
I, like, can only drink, like, fancy fruity cocktails and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like a good cocktail. I like a good cocktail.
I'm like a snob now. But literally, because, like, when I drink a beer now, like, it, like, puts me in a fog.
Yeah, I don't really like beer, but I like tequila. I just drink straight tequila.
Yeah.
I like beer, but
I'll
I
do,
think
like, a
I mostly
mojito.
just like the sensation of carbonated beverage.
Yeah, no, it gets me all sick. I don't like beer.
Yeah, I don't know.
I also like trying to make my own cocktails.
Michelada, too, is, like, crazy to me. Like, they're like, I know beer tastes bad, but what if we can make it also spicy?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God.
That is.
Can we somehow make this a mess?
I think like that about Mexican candy. They used to have a bit about it where it's just like they just like what if you just say condiments?
Hell yeah.
Like
It
Lucas
is
is
kinda
just
like
chili
that.
flakes and salt with sugar added.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's in a salt shaker. It's like they're not even hiding it. It's in the exact same plastic salt shaker you see at diners. They just put a duck on it.
Man, this has been great, dude.
This has been great.
This has been great.
So what's we progressed through the friendometer. Is there like we got to work on that. We need a
Is
big
there something that
shebang.
happens at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end?
you
Well,
got
Mich-
through the friendometer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we're
the
friends?
prize is friendship, all right? Anime
Okay,
vibes.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're good to wrap.
We
dude.
mastered
You
the
should-
high five. Watch, do it again. Boom!
Hey, that's
a good
pretty
high
good.
five. This has been a good
Dude.
episode, and we'll see you next time.
Till next time.